Hello student. In today's lecture we are going to take a look towards the viruses. As in earlier discussion we have gone through the syllabus, and today we are going to concentrate on the topic that is viruses. Nowadays we know that viruses is having the lot of infection in human beings and animals, not only in animals and humans, but also we can see the viral infection is there in lot content at the plant also. So the definition of the viruses is: virus is an infectious particle consisting of a core of nucleic acid enclosed in a protein shell. Now here you can see this is nothing but the typical virus structure, in which envelope is there, protein is there, and nucleic acid is there. Viruses are microscopic, acellular, highly infectious, which are considered to be on the threshold of life. So they are microscopic, we know very well. They are acellular, highly infectious, and they are having the threshold of life. Viruses are acellular and are able to function and reproduce only if they can invade in a living cell. The simple meaning of this particular term is the viruses required a host, or they need a host in which they can invade and they can show their life cycle. Means if they are present outside of the host, they are nothing, they cannot do anything. Only when they will get a host, only when they will get a particular organism, they will show their functionality, they will reproduce, they increase their number, and all these things they will do only they will get a living cell that we called it as a host. So for the viruses, host is a most important requirement. Now moving to the next, that is general characteristics of the viruses. But before going to that, what we can say, history of the viruses, we can take a look. Adolf Meyer in 1886 had demonstrated that mosaic disease of tobacco is infectious, that we call TMV. DJ Ivanovsky in 1892 confirmed that observation of the Meyer. And M.W. Bejernik in 1898 called the virus as a venom or poisonous fluid. And finally, the term virus was first used by Louis Pasteur. So this is nothing but the short history. What the first, Adolf Meyer first find out the viral infection through the plant known as tobacco, and hence named tobacco mosaic virus. So that was the first discovery of the viruses. The same conclusion, whatever the conclusion given by Meyer, is the same conclusion was given by the Ivanovsky in 1892. So he performed the practical, he performed one experiment on the tobacco plant and tobacco leaves on healthy plants and diseased plant, and he observed that the infection was caused by the viruses. Then Bijernik, the first person who used to called virus as a venom or poison fluid, and finally the term virus was given by or postulated by the Louis Pasteur. Now moving to the general characters of viruses. As we know that viruses are acellular, ultra microscopic, and disease causing. Viruses shows very simple structure. They have envelope and DNA material or RNA material inside that. Size of the viruses ranges from 10 nanometer to 200 nanometer. Viruses do not grow or do not respire outside the body of the living organism or inside to the body of living organism. Viruses are obligate parasite. That means they need a host. Without host, viruses will not develop, they will not reproduce, or they will not grow. So that is the obligate parasite. They need a particular type of parasite. They possesses their own genetic material in the form of DNA or RNA. So either DNA or RNA is the genetic material is present in the viruses. both DNA or RNA, DNA and RNA is not present, only one, that is DNA or RNA present as a genetic material in viruses. So these are very common general characteristics. Now moving to the next topic, that is classification based on host. There is different types of classification of the viruses, but this is very common, that is based on host. The organism in which virus grow, that we called it as a host. So the classification based on host is having the three different parameters. The first, plant viruses. Plant viruses are the viruses which grow on the plants only. They will not grow on the animal or uh, other organism. So they will only grow on the plants, and they shows the presence of ssRNA or double stranded RNA, single stranded RNA or double stranded RNA genetic material is present in plant viruses. The another type of viruses is known as animal viruses. These animal viruses are specific, host specific, and they have obligate parasite animal, and they will show the presence of RNA or DNA. Any one of these RNA or DNA is present in the animal viruses. And the third type of virus is known as bacterial virus or bacteriophages. These bacteriophages is made up of DNA only, they don't have RNA. So bacterial viruses shows the presence of DNA. So this is nothing but the classification of viruses based on host. What are they? Viruses are classified into three categories: plant viruses, animal viruses, and bacterial viruses. Plant viruses shows the presence of single stranded or double stranded RNA. Animal viruses shows the presence of DNA or RNA, and bacterial viruses shows only the genetic material, that is DNA. So this is nothing but the classification based on host. Now we can take a look towards the example. Say for example, plant viruses. Plant viruses are having a specific to the plant, and the best example is tobacco mosaic virus, potato leaf roll, then bunchy top of banana, grassy shoot of sugarcane. These are very common examples of plant viruses. While the animal viruses are, nowadays we know very well, coronavirus is there, coronavirus is there, Ebola virus is there, Mixo virus is there, H1N1 virus is there, common HIV, we can say HIV virus is there, and polio virus is the best example of animal virus. Moving to the next, that is bacterial virus. These are the virus which we call bacteriophages. So tadpole shaped viruses, say for example coliphages, T2, T4, T6, these are nothing but the bacterial viruses, and these are specific to bacterial infection. So this is nothing but the viruses and their examples. So in this lecture we have discussed about the general characteristics of viruses and the host specific classification of the viruses. So watch this video 2 times and take down the notes related to viruses.